Alright, so some people have asked me how my waterer works. So it's just a standard bucket with a bottom bung installed. So that's just, it's got a nipple on one end. You thread it on, you thread on a nut with a, I don't know, a little rubber washer that seals. And then you kind of, maybe you can't see, but right there it comes down in between these pieces of wood, and it's got a tube. They're going crazy right now. It goes over here to this platoon water, so it's gravity fed. So it works similar to a toilet bowl. We walk over here so they spread out a little bit more. As it fills, it weighs itself down. The trough weighs it down, and it shuts a valve off up in the top here and causes it to stop filling, and it's adjustable. There's a ballast you can't see underneath the red bell there, and what I have in there is water plus a little bit of antifreeze, just because we've had some cold nights. So these guys are hungry right now, but I pulled them off of food. Tomorrow morning is the big day, so we go to process. So we leave to go process at, we got to be there at 8 in the morning. So I've got the feeders over there. They're all cleaned out and ready to store for the winter. So I moved them today, as you can see, and they had their morning meal, and then they ate some grass. You know, the grass that's under here, of course. And other than that, I pulled their food for the day. It really depends on your processor, and I suppose there's different, you know, strategies. You know, typically you want their bowels to be, and their guts to be, you know, empty. Back to the bucket. I just drill a little 1/8 inch hole right here, just so it doesn't pull a vacuum. So it keeps leaves and bugs out, but allows it to flow water. Another thing people were asking me about was the electric fence. I did not, you know, I found this through Joel Salatin actually, and just watching stalking other pasture poultry people. This is a Premier 1 solar fence, and mine's the IntelliShock 60. As you can see, it's off right now because I was in there with them. I haven't had to hook this thing into a power outlet, which you have the ability to do so. It looks like a car battery. It's not. Once you open this lid, there's a battery in there that looks like a backup battery that you would have for an alarm system or something like that. You know, bigger than like a Power Wheel battery, but or I'm sorry, smaller than a Power Wheel battery, but you know, pretty robust. It must be really efficient. And then it just uses this little solar panel, and I've got it really tilted up right now because this time of year you can kind of see the sun setting over there. The sun's real high this time of year through here. So there's little gauges right here that allow you to kind of tweak it to get, you know, more sun exposure depending on the time of year. I did kind of a crappy job restaking it the other night. You can see her kind of leaning there. But so yeah, that's all it is. This is 200 feet of netting. So this kit, the starter kit, comes with 100 feet, which is one section. So it starts here, goes all the way down there and over to that. So I do an L. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these fiberglass posts. So I always know that with 2, if this makes sense, I'm just kind of freeballing here. So I run it as far as I can, and then I know the last 4 need to L in. So then I know that my other 100 foot is exactly the same. I'll run it 4 farther on this side so that I can bring them back around to here. So it's real easy to move the netting. So what I'll do, obviously I'm done after tomorrow for the year, but what I would do is I would pop these 4 and then just come on down this line, lay it flat, and then I'd just grab right here with 2 hands. It'd be laying like this, and I just start walking backwards until I lay down kind of a marker, which is usually the solar panel or a 4-wheeler or something, that just kind of tells me where the rear end of my chicken tractor is. And that way I know I got enough room to get my dolly flipped down right here. You know, so I'll run it as tight as I can across here so that I can get the maximum amount of moves. So you can see that this was the last move for this one, and it gets me right up to the edge. So close that I got to make sure that my wire right here that I use to drag it with, all I've got is a piece of wire like what you would run hot fence with, and an old section of hose, and that's what I grab and drag it with. So you kind of pop it up in a wheelie and drag it. So I can show you right here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total moves per, you know, 6 days roughly is what that means. So that works out real well with my schedule. It takes about 20 minutes. You know, once you get pretty good and know your general setup and get a good eyeball for how to evenly space these. My fence line's kind of crooked right now, but that's because I was doing something kind of funky. So I showed you in a previous video how my original pass with this one, sorry to be shaky, I'm new to this, came this way and shot down that way. You can see how green it is compared to over here. And then I did kind of a big horseshoe down here because I was by myself, and it came back over here. You can kind of see the grass is real short where this fence line is. And then I took it all the way to the end of my field down here near my silhouette targets down there. And then I had somebody here to help me to kind of do a tight turn with it, and I just came right back up the middle. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to see what 3 stripes was going to look like, you know, in my field. I'll be able to really pay attention to that in the spring. You know, this was done at my house, so this isn't done out at the ranch where, you know, we do cattle. So I know where I tend to mow my yard. So this over here is pretty much my field. It's just brome. So yeah, that's kind of, I just wanted to show you a few things that I'd seen in comments or people had asked me on another forum. People were showing interest in the fence. Premier One, they're actually really awesome to work with. They're over in Iowa, which I'm in eastern Nebraska. So I get stuff real quick, and it's pretty professional. I mean, it's set up on a PO system. So, you know, it's not a rinky-dink outfit. And I believe, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but I believe this one panel here, assuming you're not grounding out, which what that means is you don't want the grass to be too tall, otherwise the fence is going to constantly be grounding out. Let's see if you can hear it. Turn this on. You're not going to be able to hear it because of the chickens, but wherever the grass is really long going down here, it's going to ground out down here, which keeps pests out, that bottom rung. And so these strands right here are hot. The white ones going vertically are not hot. You can kind of see there's some wire strung in there. And then all you do is you've got a grounding stake that's drove down into the ground. You just kind of step on it, and then this whole deal here slides right on it real easy. You clip on your ground, which comes up to your ground, and then your positive side runs off to here, and you just alligator clip it to this connector right here. And then at the end of each section there's you know, a connector, and you only have to connect them when you're joining fences. So here I don't have to connect these two because this is the end of the run. What I did have to connect is the 2 down there, and this video is getting pretty long, so, and you know, I'm new to the whole YouTube scene, so don't judge me too harshly, but I just want to kind of show this because there, you know, until you do it, there's not a whole lot of clarity. So all you do is bring these two ends from this section of the fence and this section of the fence, and you just clip them together. It's just a pressure fitting, or you know, whatever. And then the other thing that I have is I have 4 heavy-duty posts that came with the kit, with the starter kit, and I put those at the 4 corners, and it just kind of keeps it from, you know, kind of wanting to pull in. So I highly recommend at least getting 4 of those. So anyhow, I left a link in one of the other videos in the description, the exact link to the fence that I have. So, you know, it's a little bit better to know which netting I have. It's 48 inches tall, and it's the plus. And all that means, if I'm not mistaken, is it has more of these posts, which I prefer. Granted, it's the only thing I've ever used, so plus sounded better to me. That is the most expensive part of the whole operation. When I bought everything, to include building this, I built this when wood was stupid expensive, and it's all treated wood. This kit here was the most expensive component. But I highly recommend it. I have lost 1 bird to predators, and it was because I was leaving this guy off during the day. I thought, you know, heck, there's no predators out. I'll just flip it on when I get home for the day. And I got home a little after dusk that night. It was probably night. It was nighttime. It was about 9 p.m. Came out, flipped it on, and the next morning I came down here and I saw a bird that was dead right there, just laying right there. Its neck had been shredded. So it was definitely a raccoon, reached in there, grabbed, and it just ripped its throat out. So that was entirely my fault. I only had 1 fatality that could not be explained, or mortality, I should say, that could not be explained. It was just chicken dead. Don't know why. I had a few others, and that was a learning experience. I'll be honest with you. What I did in the beginning is I was feeding them. I know this video is getting long, but this is good information. So I was feeding them in 1 trough. This big guy over here, which it's not focusing very well. It's a stainless steel trough. I believe it's 4 feet long. Great trough. Easy to clean. I was feeding them all in 1, and these chickens, if you don't know, chickens are like dinosaurs when they're hungry. They just swoop at the food. When it was coming down, they swoop in there and they'll peck each other, and if one gets injured, it's on. So I came out and I found 2 dead that were just stuck in that. It had a little spindle that rides on top of it that keeps them from roosting on top. Well, you know, that's all good to keep poop out of the food, but what they did is they all swarmed and they got their heads stuck under there and they got pecked, and you know, I had 2 die from that, and you know, no one wants to hear that. It's very sad. I try to raise these birds very humanely, and so what I ended up doing is I ended up splitting, you know, the amount of food that I would put out. So I would put half of the scoops in this trough, and then I would put half of them in this bucket here, and so I would put whichever one, you know, this whole front half, you might not know this, I'm gonna get shocked here, but it all lifts up. These front panels completely come off on each side. So I'll lift this side up, drop one in there. If it's raining, I'll drop the big trough in there just to keep it from pooling, and then I'll drop the other one on the other side, and that splits the flock, and I never had another injured bird or anything after that. So I mean, maybe that's just something that was an error on my part. You know, I'm new to chickens, you know, I mean, I have egg layers and have for years, but you know, raising broilers is a totally different beast, you know. So hopefully that helps. If when I do this next year, there's 2 things that I'm going to definitely do different. One is I'm going to get another one of those big troughs, and I'm going to put it in on this side, and one on the other side. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put my waterer a little more central, and then I will run a bigger bucket. You need to change the water every day, and you need to clean out the platoon bowl, or trough, I should say. But I'm going to run something more like this, which I think that's a 20-gallon. I could be wrong. 20-gallon, bin. I'm going to run something like that, just so if I don't get down here right away, they do not ever run out of water. Once they get big, you will run out of water if they drink a lot after they feed. So you gotta water them at least twice a day, sometimes 3 times, with only a 5-gallon bucket. So you never want them to run out of water. I guess that's what I'm getting at. So it's in my yard, so I'm able to come down here and water them throughout the day. So it's no big deal. But as I scale, and maybe this, I'll have some of these chicken tractors out on, the big ranch. I'm gonna run more water just so that they're never thirsty. So anyways, what was supposed to be a 4-minute video or so turned into a 16, and I was purely winging it. So anyways, hopefully there were some good nuggets in there for you guys to get out of this. Anyways, tomorrow's the big day. I'll try to let you know how it goes. All right, see you later.